I'm going to do it anyway. I'm giving away money. That's it, but I call it forgiveness. That's what I call it. I'm going to forgive these young people the college money. I'll forgive them for the Barbie movie, the whole deal. And then we get some votes, right? But I call it forgiveness. That's my new motto. Forgiveness, forgiveness, even if I can't feel anything in my right leg. Come on, man. Come on. Oh my God. All right.
This is why Imam Khomeini, who declared the International Day of Quds, this is why he would say to pour all of your chants and all of your shouts upon the head of America.
Death to America.
Openly chanting death to America.
First time in our nation's history, a 30-year-old man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. That is the social compact breaking down. People aged 30 to 34, 60% of them in 1990 had one child. Now it's 27%. People are opting out of America. They're not optimistic about it. They're not having kids. Young people aren't having sex. They're not meeting. They're not mating. The pool of emotionally and economically viable men shrinks every day, which lessens household formation. So we have a real issue. Young people are enraged, so it turns every cut, every movement into an opportunistic infection because, quite frankly, they are just pissed off. They look up, they see wealth, exceptional wealth across my generation and people in certain industries, and they are really struggling. Their purchasing power is going down, and the incumbents create artificial scarcity on campus. We take pride in rejecting 90% of our applicants, so the incumbents who already have a degree see the degree go up in value. We get very concerned with housing and traffic once we own the housing. Housing permits are sequestered from young people. Housing prices have gone from $290 to $420 in the last 4 years. So a young person, a house, stocks that I don't own, skyrocket in value. Let's have COVID relief and flush the markets and take assets way up, because if 1 million people dying would be bad, it would be tragic if I got less wealthy. And we're doing it on their credit card. Young people have every reason to be enraged, and every issue they see, they look up, they get angry, and they see someone doing better than them, and then every day it is speedballed in their face that they are failing, that they are not doing as well as everyone around them. We have lost the script. Our kids are more anxious, they're more depressed, they're more obese, they're more addicted, and we have made a purposeful decision to let this happen by ensuring that people around this table stay wealthy at the cost of young people.
Whoa, thank you. Welcome, boys and girls, children of all ages, hoofties, poofties, bung-eyed heifers, right and left wing wackos, woodchucks, and chuckettes, kings and queens of the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont, that is, to another version of It's News to Us. And, you are watching. Who are we? Where are we? What are we doing here? You're watching It's News to Us. We're Newport, Vermont's oldest TV news watchers. New! Hail, nail, brown cows, locals say. We've been here since 2009, if you can believe it.
Yeah, wasn't Lucian in charge back then?
Yeah, Hornscraper.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And
that's a memory I don't like.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Never mind.
It was.
That's right. You are correct, because I remember I asked Ray if he wanted to be on Let's Talk, and Ray just about had an epileptic fit.
Yeah, we're Comcastic. And let's see. Here's our. Get off my lawn. He's getting older and more agitated by the day. And is a cadaver and cheese. That's right. There's old Joe. He's a moving mighty slow at the junction. And we cater to we cater to men, women, Batman. Well, you're all included here. And defund the police? No. Okay, we swing from one end of the pendulum to the other, and you know, when you're if you've hit a deer or a car or a tree or something, and your car is a pile of smoking wreckage, you'll be glad to see the first responder, the cops show up, and they passed that stupid Ukrainian aid package, $61 billion to the Ukraine, and get this, they're going to try and tie Trump's hands. I'll get to that in a minute. In the booth, we have Philo T. Farnsworth. You can see him. You can see him waving. He's. You can see his drumming videos at Terry DeFazio on YouTube. And here's a couple too. This is the website for Jim Rickards. He wrote a book called Currency Wars. He's a strategist, and it's incredible. And this YouTube channel is hysterical, man. It's like they make these commercials, these comedic commercials about Muslims. And there's one, Terry. It's this guy's taking his daughter to Al Qaeda University, right?
Oh, well, righty then.
Yeah, and so he's parked out in front of this big old ivy-covered building, and the ISIS truck rolls up with the black flags in the back, you know, and the guys with the beards and the AK-47s, and he's all like, he says, "You sure she's going to be okay?" And the ISIS guy's all like, "She'll be fine. She'll be fine." And he says, "Take care of my little girl." And he says, "Yes, of course. Death to America." It's nuts, man. You have to see him. There's a whole slew of commercials out there. But this Jim Rickards, he was on Bannon's War Room this morning. You can see that show at www.warroom.org. And they slipped in this Repo Act, and for those of you in Vermont, I called Becca Balin's number. She's our congressperson. Her number is 888-293-9874. And I talked to the kid, right? And the kid was starting to drift on me because I was trying to explain to him how this would cause more inflation. I mean, it might even collapse the whole dollar. It might collapse the dollar completely, right? To see what happens, boys and girls, is for years and years since World War II, people are buying U.S. securities, U.S. Treasury notes, bonds, and stuff like that, right? And they've always been good, and we've always paid out the premiums on times and whatever, you know, the interest, 5-year, 10-year, whatever, right? Well, what these jokers are doing, and they're going to try and tie Trump's hands before he even gets elected, right? There's $300 billion of Russian money. Now, we've seized money before. We seized it from the Iranians in 1979. Remember, Terry?
Oh, I wish we had had some of that.
Yeah. And Obama, our first Muslim president, he gave it all back to him, well, most of it back to him, in cash. And Joe's been giving it to the rest of it to him. Even though these people don't have real elections, they don't, well, neither does the Ukraine, as a matter of fact, and they don't represent their own people. And we could have helped them out. Biden could have helped them out when they were in the streets demonstrating, but no. Anyways, it's $300 billion in the Ukrainian Support Fund, and it's who is it overseen by, Terry, of all people? USAID, which we jokingly refer to here as USCIA, which is what it is. And it's under the jurisdiction or the purview of Miss Samantha Powers, Philo. And she's an old. These people are deep state, okay? They ran like scattered like cockroaches when Trump came in because they knew they had to. But they all come crawling back, man. When Biden got elected, and Samantha Powers is also known as Mrs. Cass Sunstein. And for those of you who ever watched any of Glenn Beck's shows with his diagrams and stuff, Philo,
yeah,
this Cass Sunstein is supposedly a friggin' flat-out communist or whatever.
Oh, righty then.
Yeah. And Samantha Powers, she was born in London. She's a wicked warmonger. Her and a few others were responsible for the debacle in Benghazi, where we lost our station in our CIA people, and the red line, Obama's red line in Syria. Remember, don't cross that red line, or there'll be consequences. And Assad crossed the red line, and there wasn't any consequences. And she heads USAID. And seizing these assets is just another word for stealing these assets, okay? So they want to take the $300 billion and give it to Ukraine. And, I mean, we haven't seized any assets since World War I of an enemy, Philo. And World War I was actually a declared war, remember?
Well, yeah, 1 and 2 were the last ones.
Yeah. So this could collapse the whole system, right? It was a declared war, and we've done it for with criminals, like drug cartels and stuff like that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but even they get due process. They get their day in court, where we have to prove that these are ill-gotten gains or whatever before we just go ahead and steal them. And Russia is the world's 11th largest economy, and it's part of the global rules-based order that these people keep harping about. Oh, we're going to bring them into the family of nations like the Iranians, and they're part of the rules-based orders. Well, where are these rules written? Because you're tearing them up and throwing them right in the friggin' rubbish now, you jackasses.
Seems like more like the New World Order.
Yeah, exactly, you think? I'm Klaus Schwab. The future belongs to me.
Yes, this whole thing started way back in the 70s with the Trilateral Commission.
Yeah. And now it's the Davos crowd, man. Yeah, Davos, man. They meet in Switzerland every year. And before, it was the Bank of International Settlements. And because we didn't even do it to the Nazis, man. We stopped some of their transactions, but not many. I mean, what was it? One of the petroleum companies was still selling Hitler aviation gasoline right up until the end of the war, Philo. I've got that book at home, IBM and the Holocaust, and that just touches on IBM, but there were a whole slews of American companies that did business with Hitler.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, do I have that picture here? No, I think I left it in the... No, here it is right here, as a matter of fact. Yeah, but this is from 1937, and Hitler didn't declare war on us until December 1941.
When Japan attacked, right?
Yep, day afterwards, Hitler declared war on us. Thanks, Philo. And here is IBM's chief executive, Watson, getting the Volks medal from the Fuhrer. So the Bank of International Settlements would, they were still doing, transferring, anyways. So Section 103 of this, they call it the Repo Act. And like I was telling the kid at the Congresswoman's office, I said, look, this isn't going to affect me that much, Bucky, because, I'm on my way out, It's going to affect your generation. You'll never be able to buy a house. You'll never be able to buy a decent car. You'll never be able to afford to have a family. You know what I mean? You're going to be like a Russian peasant. Like Klaus Schwab said, you will own nothing and you will like it.
Yep, I know. And you know what? So many people are buying into this crap too. You know that?
Well, I think so. The kids are starting to wake up. I wish, they're waking up for the wrong reason with this anti-Jew stuff.
Yeah, I know. Here's the thing, Steve.
I never thought I'd see the day.
I got to ask you a question.
Sure.
You remember way back in the 60s when there were the protests against the Vietnam War?
Tons.
That was something tangible. Okay? Now it almost seems like these people are protesting just for the sake of protesting, to be angry about something.
Yeah, it's ephemeral.
Yeah.
It's not tangible. It's ephemeral. It's like a fart in the wind.
Yep.
I mean, but, again, if you go to that YouTube channel, Facts for Peace, like the guy, in one of the commercials, the guy has a clipboard, right? And he's going through... he's doing a man on the street thing. He says, "Hi, I wonder if you'd sign my petition to support the Palestinians." And the people are all like, "Oh yeah." He says, "Okay, but before you sign it, I have to notify you of a few things. Do you think it's okay to murder infidels?" And they're all like, "What? No. Do you think it's okay that gay people get thrown off the roof to their death?" No, of course not. Do you think it's okay that women have to wear their bodies covered, can't show ankles or wrists? Well, no. So he's going through this list, of everything that you have to do to live like an Arab, But anyways, I'm talking to this kid, and I'm telling him, I says, look, the price of gold has gone from $1,850 an ounce to $2,400 an ounce in 3 months, Philo. And and so I over the phone I can tell his eyes are glazing over, right? I says, "Do you know what that means?" He says, "No, because I said, "Well, no, because nothing's based on gold anymore." I says, "But it shows you what the dollar is worth." I mean, gold has been about $1,800 an ounce since Biden got elected, but now it's crazy. The dollar has lost like a third or more of its value. And it's nuts. And now they want to do this crap. So Section 103 would seize, would take all this money from Russia, would repossess their bonds and stuff. Until the end of hostilities, whatever that is. What's the end of hostilities? There's no declared war, so you can't declare the war over, right?
Exactly, and it's all because Congress has no guts.
Yeah, and see, like I said, this is to tie Trump's hands so that Trump can't do anything or can't make peace when he gets elected. Okay, and... Number 2, Section 103 says Russia pays for all Ukraine damages. And the Ukrainians are losing, okay? They've been losing for the past 2-3 years. They're not getting any better. It's just, they might as well be plowing their wheat fields with artillery, Philo. That's all they're doing is sending shells back and forth. You know what I mean? Only now we're getting closer to World War III or an atomic war because they've sent these friggin' programmable rockets that Ukraine can send into Russia proper. That's a great idea, isn't it?
Oh, love it. Gotta love it.
Yeah. Section 104 has a 5-year sunset, which it would be April of 2029, which is conveniently right after Trump leaves office, Vilo. And NATO wants a $5 billion fund that's controlled by them. This whole thing was written by the Republicans, the so-called Republicans in Congress, all right? Now, they're getting smoked out because 70% of the American people, 70% of them, and 80 to 90% of Republicans do not want any more aid sent to Ukraine because they can't account for any of the money we've already sent them, right? So what they're doing is they're keeping track of all these people that have voted yes to send the aid to the Ukraine. And they're going to get primaried out because, this is no time for rhinos. This is not your father's Republican Party. We want America first, all right? And it was written by rhinos in the deep state to Trump-proof and tie his hands. Now, the funds in Europe are called Euroclear. And so what will happen is U.S. treasuries will collapse. The BRICS countries will start their own currency, which they're doing right now, right? Remember, what does BRICS stand for? Brazil, Russia, India, and China, okay? They're going to start their own currency and trade in BRICS currency, which means they won't be trading in dollars anymore, and the dollars will be worth what an Argentine peso is now. And it's crazy. And also, Russia will be able to sue us in Hong Kong, Philo. And who is Hong Kong controlled by now?
By the Chinese, isn't it?
Exactly.
It was controlled by the UK for a long time.
Yeah.
Why in heck did they give that up?
That was Jimmy Carter. It was part of the... That's what happens with the Democrats. They always do that.
Yeah, but the Hong Kong wasn't taken over till, 1999, though?
Yeah, but it was... they said, I don't know, it has to do with Jimmy Carter, I'm pretty sure. They said that we promised them it would become independent or whatever within 30 years. So it'd be 99, 89, 79, 20 years, whatever. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But anyways, so you think the United States is going to get a good verdict in a Hong Kong court, Philo?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, they'd have about as much chance as Trump getting a fair trial. And they in the opening arguments yesterday, who opened the arguments in the Trump trial? Matt Colangelo, who was number 3 at the Justice Department Civil Rights Division. Biden sent him up from Washington specifically to get Trump because that dumbass Alvin Bragg is too stupid to take care of the case himself. Oh, man. And so anyways, Russia has something like 300 tons of gold. We don't know how much, if anything, is in Fort Knox. There are a lot of people out there who will tell you that there is nothing in Fort Knox, that it is just an empty hole in the ground. And they could be right. Because we're not allowed in to see it, Philo. So anyways, Russia, just holding on to that 300 tons of gold has made them enormously wealthy as our dollar declines, as Biden prints up more of it. And speaking of which, guess who Biden's giving $50 million to, Philo?
It isn't me.
It ain't me neither. It's the Kohl's Company, KOHL. The ones who...
Kohl's, yes.
Like Walmart or...
Department store. Clothing department store, yeah.
A clothing department store because the malls are failing. So that's what the Democrats always do. They give money to they print up money and give it to their crony-ass buddies. $50 million to Kohl's.
Well, there isn't going to be any retail soon anyway.
No, it's all going to be mail order. You just point your phone at your ass and it'll measure you and everything.
Because I got to tell you, now, shoes and clothes, you really want to try stuff on first.
Yeah.
But, it's getting to the point where I mean, look at our lovely Main Street down here. They just lost 2 businesses. 2 businesses gone.
Yepper. Yep. Can't do it. No, we had to have that Walmart, man. We needed cheap underwear, Philo.
Well, here's the thing. That thing with the Family Dollar, that has to do with some bean counters somewhere saying that this underperformed, because every time I've gone in there, there's a lot of people in there buying stuff.
Man, you couldn't push me in there.
Well, you know, like we're located here.
Yeah.
I want to go get a soda or something like that. You know, I just walk down there and buy a soda.
Yeah.
They're nice people. They're okay. They treat me well.
Oh, sure. Nobody said they weren't. Anyways. There's still 133 hostages left. Do these kids in Columbia and Yale and all these other colleges, do they mention the hostages at all, Philo?
Well, it's just kind of like I'm not going to mention her name, but when our legislators put new taxes on us all the time, they don't have to worry about it because they've got the money.
Yeah, well, one of our legislators has a challenger. He stopped by my house. He was getting signatures. Sam Douglas, he's my neighbor.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll have to have him interview you. Maybe you want to interview him, Philo?
No, but I know somebody who would.
Yeah.
Pam Latz would.
Oh, he's a great guy.
Send him over.
Yeah.
Pam is always looking for people to interview.
Yeah, will do, because obviously I'm prejudiced because he's a neighbor and friend, you know.
And he's not a trust fund baby.
No, not at all. Or a grant writer. You know? That's what the other one is a grant writer.
Yep.
Just write grants and suck back on that grant money. Oh, man, speaking of which, did you ever hear about Tesla's dancing horses, Philo?
No.
Well, Tesla, he made a deal. This is in the late 1800s. So he made a deal with the power company in Colorado Springs.
Yep.
Where he could buy cheap power and stuff. And he only blew up their generating facility one time, right? That guy was nuts. But he wanted free electricity. He said there's plenty of energy for everybody to go around. It's, and I swear to God, there are people out there, I'm not saying I'm one of them, that believe Tesla was right. And that there is enough power for everyone to go around. So to prove it, he put up this giant Tesla coil or whatever, and he put all these light bulbs in the ground, right? He just screwed them into the dirt and invited the reporters out, fired the thing up, and all the light bulbs lit up, right? So he kept doing this with different stations to try and see how far the power could go, right? until what would happen is the horses. What do the horses have on their hooves, Philo?
Well, they've got steel horseshoes.
Exactly. Well, somebody noticed that whenever Tesla would fire up his stupid generator, the horses were jumping up and down and bucking around like crazy. Because they had hot foot, Philo.
Yes.
the dancing ponies of Colorado Springs. Oh, and anyways, guess what we just found out, Philo?
What's that?
Another thing about Trump. How they're out to get Trump? No. Jack Smith, for the Presidential Records Act, we've said for a long time that Trump was set up and look what happened after they raided Mar-a-Lago, looking for these top secret papers or whatever that were guarded by the Secret Service. Old Joe has tons of them everywhere in 5 different locations. But anyways, it turns out that Jack Smith, they even had a name for this operation. It was called Operation Plasmic Echo, right? And in September of 2021, this was like a year before they raided Mar-a-Lago, Philo?
Yep.
In September of 21, they came up with this idea to get Trump through the Public Records Act and raid Mar-a-Lago. And you can read all about it at Julie Kelly's Substack or you can find it on the net. It's come out just all over the place now, because that's it. The deep state does not want Trump out there, and the globalists do not want Trump out there. And speaking of which, everybody in Vermont should call Becca Balin at 888-293-9874 about joining the WHO. That whole deal goes down by the end of May, and it looks like Biden's about ready to sign on to it, Philo.
Yeah, he's a man, amazing. By the way, did you see this article here? Minnesota state senator was arrested in charge of first-degree burglary.
Oh, good grief.
Senator Nicole Mitchell arrested for being found inside somebody else's home.
Yeah, it was a boyfriend thing, wasn't it?
I don't know. It wasn't her home.
I don't think it was one of those deals where she was, drunk and in condos that all looked the same either.
I'm not sure what it was, but they arrested her anyways.
Yeah. Oh, and it's according to yesterday. Oh, but the fever's going to break tomorrow, boys and girls, okay? The Supreme Court is going to hear the arguments about presidential immunity. Because let's face it, man, this is what Joe Biden did. He did that stupid plasmic echo operation, and he just revoked Trump's presidential immunity or whatever, something that every president, ex-president, has used since the beginning of time and cannot be revoked, suspended, or revoked. But he did it. Biden just says, that's it. Yeah, you're done here. We can do whatever we want to you. Yeah. Well, you know what? It's only making him more powerful. But tomorrow the fever's going to break. Mercury goes direct again. And let's see, it's happy overpass, too, for all our Jewish friends. Or as they say, happy Passover.
There was an overpass over on the interstate, isn't there?
Yeah. It was a celebration. It goes on the 22nd, Sunday, till the other day, Sunday, until the 30th on a Tuesday, next Tuesday. Oh, and did you see that, Frontline about Love Canal, Philo?
No, but you know what? When the day my son was born in 1980, there was a big article in the New York News about it.
Oh man, I actually spoke with Lois Gibbs. She, because afterwards she ran a clearinghouse, and I found out that this guy Freddie in Lunenburg, Mass. This guy Freddie, what happened was, I'll start at the beginning. We had paper mills in Fitchburg, right? And depending on what color paper they were making that day would be the color that the river ran. You know what I mean? If they were making yellow school paper, then the river would be yellow. The Nashua River would be yellow. If they were making white paper, the river would be white. If they were making red, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what happened was this woman named Marion Stoddard, she got Ted Kennedy to get his fat butt into a canoe and took Teddy Kennedy for a canoe ride down the Nashua River to show him how dead it was, right?
Yeah.
So then Teddy Kennedy, this was after Earth Day, 5 years after first Earth Day, and so they decided, well, we're going to do something about it. Well, they couldn't do anything about it, so they started putting these the toxic chemicals in 55-gallon drums, Philo.
Yeah.
And one of my buddies worked for this developer, and what they were doing was they'd bring a air compressor and a truck, and they'd just air chisel the top off these 55-gallon drums, and then dump all this toxic waste right at this old landfill that Freddie had bought from the town years ago. And guess who got the money? He got paid $100 a barrel to dump every barrel from Fitchburg Paper. And then 20 years later, when my wife bought a house down there, and I was testing the water and stuff, that's when I got a hold of Lois Gibbs, And I spoke to her on the phone. Mark Doe turned me on to her. He gave me her number. I called her up in Washington and D.C., and she answered the phone.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And she told me, who to talk to and what to do and all this other stuff. And so they decided to run water lines, town water, municipal water, down to the Hickory Hills Lake. And guess who got paid to put in the water mains, Philo?
Who's that?
This is Freddie, the same guy who got paid to dump the toxic waste.
Where did he dump it though?
He dumped it on the east side of the lake, and then he dumped it on another landfill on the northwest side of the lake.
Oh, kind of like what they're doing right here.
Yeah. Only this is leachate. Yeah, he dumped it in the old landfill, and it's leaching right through it. Makes a nice brewed tea.
Well, you remember what they used to do with the radioactive stuff that came out of nuclear power plants? They put it in barrels and they dumped it in the ocean.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Well, at least if you go off the continental shelf, we're talking a mile or two deep, right?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to go down there for a while, and unless the Earth tilts on its axis real quickly, the chances are we won't have to deal with it for a while. Yeah. So, anyways, there are no 500,000 Ukraine volunteers. They were waving that stupid Ukrainian flag in the House of Representatives. How come we haven't seen any info from the Director of National Intelligence, the CIA, the NSA? Now, what happened on October 7th? How could all these intelligence operations not know that Hamas was going to invade Israel? You know what I mean?
Yep.
What did they get paid for? And how come we never see anything about the Ukrainian battlefields? We used to see Vietnam every night, remember, Philo?
Walter Cronkite was really good about that, and he only reported the news. He never put his spin on it until way later.
Yeah. And the 61 billion, and the Russians have only taken, let's see, three of the four provinces are still held by the Ukrainians. The only ones that the Russians have taken is Zukansk. And only half of the 61 billion is going to the army, and it's mostly in grift. And this, it turns out this German businessman was shaking down 50% Zelensky. We used to call him 10% ski, Philo.
Yep.
Well, it seems like with this guy, he was doing 50% ski. And, Hamas was training in broad daylight. They had funding from Egypt, and this money goes through international banks and stuff. So they missed it there. They're too busy spying on people who still go to Latin Mass, to Catholics, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I thought they were only doing that in Texas.
No, Virginia, Florida, everywhere.
Well, my dad used to always complain that he liked the old traditional Mass in Latin. I said, you know why? Because you can't understand any of it. What's so good about that, Dad?
My grandfather spoke Latin. He was real good with languages, right? Mm-hmm. My brother-in-law was, too. And so it was an easy jump for him to from Latin to Italian. So he learned Italian he was a trolley driver for the Fitchburg Railroad Company. He drove the electric trolley, so he picked up on Italian from all the passengers and stuff. And whenever they got into problems, and with the courthouse or somebody's kid got in trouble or whatever, they would come to my grandfather or go see old Benny because he spoke Italian. He could help get you out of a jam. Yeah, let's see. At least they got one guy from the Israeli Defense Forces to resign over missing the intel. Well, meanwhile, our European intel says Putin is worse than our border. If Putin's a real threat, then declassify the Kiev, Poland, European intel. Let's see it. You know what I mean? The conservatives supposedly voted 112 to 101, and they lied to us. This one guy said, one of the real America First Republicans, Philo, he said he went into that skiff where you have to leave your phones outside and everything, and you can't take notes and you can't bring your staff, where you get your briefings from the intel agencies. He said there wasn't anything in there that from the intel agency that he couldn't have picked up out of the New York Times. He got up and left early, you know.
Yep, for sure.
Because it's crazy, and because they lied to us again, and the Congress is being run by Hakeem Jeffries, says Axios, which is not a conservative website, and they ditched the senior members of the Rules Committee in the middle of the night, Philo, while they were working on this bill. They just said, no, we got it all taken care of. You guys don't need to show up. Can you believe that?
Sure.
And this guy said he embraces a Christian worldview.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah, that puke from Louisiana. Didn't take long for him to flip over for the deep state. He's like my dog, for crying out loud. Just rolled over and put his paws up so that they could scratch his belly, man. I wonder what he's getting, speaking fees or God knows what, you know? And it's crazy. So now we've got more borrowing, more spying, and more Everwars, because they allowed the FBI to spy on American citizens for another 2 years. No warrant needed.
Nope, none whatsoever.
Fourth Amendment right out the airlock. And let's see. Oh yeah, this guy that's judging Trump, Judge Juan Marchant. His daughter has raised almost $100 million off this stuff for the Democrats, Philo.
Imagine that.
Yeah, and he says there's no need to recuse himself because he's impartial and unbiased. Okay, sure he is. Nobody would take the case, not the Federal Election Committee, not Cyrus Vance, not even Alvin Bragg, not the Department of Justice. No, but Biden sends up Chris Colangelo, the hitman from D.C. And the judge wouldn't allow the defense to know the first three witnesses, Philo. And speaking of which, the people on CNN, I was watching this yesterday and today, they don't even know what the charges are. The trial has already started, and they don't know what the charges are. Is this crazy or what? This is like Russia. Unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. Oh, did you know that Earth Day, who started the first Earth Day, Philo?
I remember it was back in the 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was started September 7th, 1977. Well, this was when this woman was, it was started by a guy named Ira Einhorn in Philadelphia.
Einhorn?
Yeah. Oi, an Irishman. And Ira Einhorn. And he had killed his girlfriend, Helen Maddox, on September 7th, 1977. And for 18 months, his neighbors downstairs complained of a foul-smelling liquid coming through their ceiling. And so then he took off. He spent 18 years on the run. He said that she had left to buy tofu and sprouts. And so it's a toss-up. Some say that Earth Day was started by Einhorn. Others say that Earth Day was started by Gaylord Nelson. But I think it was both of them, really. Oh, and there's another case about the voting machines. With their, they said the court said that these people don't have any standing. Well, one thing when they appeal the no standing stuff is that they can present more evidence, right, Philo?
Yep.
So it turns out that the logic and accuracy tests in the Maricopa, Arizona Dominion voting machines. Oh, I shouldn't say that, but that's who they're suing, I guess, or charging, whatever. said there are 3 encryption keys, and they're available to the public. These encryption keys are. They claim this. I'm not saying this for YouTube, okay? For YouTube, I'm not saying this. This is what they're claiming in the lawsuit. And they claim that it'd be like having a foot-thick vault, right, at your local bank. Yet the combination to the vault would be on a Post-it note right out front.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah, it's no problem there. And they said there's altered software, which is illegal, and Professor Alex Haldeman, in the curling case, got him to unseal the records or something, and CISA did squat, of course. CISA is the, what is it? Something information, the cybersecurity information something agency. I don't know, you can look it up, but they're crooked, man. They're crooked. 28 people were fired from Google for walking off in solidarity with the Palestinians, Philo.
Yeah, I think more of that needs to happen, don't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't tell your boss he's full of crap, especially if he's Jewish. And
or if you tell him he's in the mafia.
Yeah. And you got to remember that there is no free speech at work. You know, there just isn't. Let's see. Okay, going back to last week.
Well, you can't cry wolf in a crowded theater.
Yeah. Well, Nancy Pelosi, what did she say? Oh God, I can't remember. Nazi Pelosi. Yeah. Thank God we've got the United Nations, Philo. We've only had 65 wars since World War II.
Yep.
Yeah, and it turns out they're talking about Trump using campaign funds to pay off people or something stupid. It looks like the Democratic National Committee has been paying Joe Biden's legal bills regarding the documents. Yipper. Oh, and Fauci lied. I sent this link to Philo. I regret that I didn't put it up or I didn't have a link to it. But if you go to the CDC or the CDC or the NAID, whatever it is, the Fauci thing, he lied. He if you go to the NIH website and look up June 24th, 2013, okay, 6/24/13, Fauci hosted an all-day conference for Middle East respiratory syndrome, but it wasn't. That's what the header says. Okay, when you open the page and look underneath it, it says it tells how they were talking about how they can manipulate viruses so that they can transmission's easier in humans, and they're proud of it. It's still on the interweb. Damn it! I should have brought the link, but you can look it up. NIH all-day conference for MERS, MERS, 6/24/13. Oh, and Paxlovid. There are people who are wondering how effective it was, even if it wasn't. They call it the feds paid Pfizer $18 billion for Paxlovid, Philo.
Yep.
Yeah. And then they stopped, and the price rose from $530 a treatment to $1,390 a treatment. And a journalist turned doctor named Matt Bivens, Bivens, said, is it even useful? He said, it's starting to feel like a long con. And that's from a doctor.
I think Paxlovid is only really recommended for older people. It's not even recommended for younger people.
Well, I've got my own. I can't even say it because YouTube will yank this video.
YouTube isn't watching. What they have is an algorithm. And when you say specific words, for example, I was trying on one of my websites, drumming websites to sell the Mapex Black Panther blade,
Yep.
and they said you cannot sell weapons because they saw a blade.
Yeah.
And when I protested it, they put the ad on.
Ain't that something?
It's all algorithms.
Yeah. Anyways, let's see. Yeah, it looks like Sam Bankfraud got sentenced, and the CIA was using his crypto agency for a laundromat for cash and carry. And then when it got too hot, like everyone else, the agency they just they threw Sammy right in front of the bus. It was fine when he was living down in the Bahamas, Philo, and everybody was interviewing him. He was the boy wonder. He's 20 years old, They're doing Adderall. They took over the top floor of this, and he was doing great. And then, they knew the gig was up, so they pulled the plug and just threw him to the wolves, man. And now, get this. It turns out the Justice Department, they found another 1,400 January 6ers to go after, Philo.
Oh, righty then. Let's have fun.
Yeah, they busted that. They sentenced that grandmother last week. She was inside the Capitol for 30 seconds. She went inside, said a prayer, and walked out. And they bust her. That's another thing that's before the Supreme Court. The Enron law that they based this prosecution on, the extended prosecution. So hopefully the Supreme Court will rule on that and stop these guys from bothering people who just walked in the Capitol. I mean, look at all the people who were in there last week with their red hands, their pink hands. Code Pink, Medea Benjamin and her crew, they're in there protesting everything under the sun.
Well, we got to have a good protest here,
Yeah, well, it's okay for the progressives and stuff, but if you're a conservative, mister, you get the book thrown at you.
It's called cancel culture.
Yeah, sure is, man.
And by the way, you got a minute and a half, last but not least.
They did release 20,000 hours of video, though. Oh, last but not least, my goodness, God, an hour goes by fast. I told you we had 2 weeks worth of news. I told you we had 2 weeks worth of news, damn it.
But you got 2 hours worth of extras on your timeline.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah, FBI opens probe into the Baltimore bridge collapse. We knew that. Anyways, let's see. Campaign pivot. New York sees a rise in disease caused by rat whiz, because the rats are whizzing in the streets. Man, oh man. Yeah, here we are. Supreme Court justices are skeptical of the January 6th obstruction charge. And I was listening to the oral arguments, and this woman who worked for the Department of Justice, Philo, she was on speed. You could tell. It was like she was talking like a mile a minute. You couldn't believe it. It was like she'd taken some speed earlier in that morning, whether it was Adderall or something, we don't know, but it was incredible. She just couldn't stop. It was unbelievable. See how fast she was going. Well, once again, you wasted a perfectly good hour of your life watching this stupid show. So hopefully we'll see you again next week. Inshallah, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Inshallah, as the Hebrews say. So until next week, get down on your hands and knees in the men-only mosque, sniff the bum of the guy in the man dress in front of you, head east towards Mecca, and pray to the meteorite in the corner of the building and go, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Akbar.
And of course, a happy Deus Magnus S to one and all.
I'm going to do it anyway. I'm giving away money. That's it, but I call it forgiveness. That's what I call it. I'm going to forgive these young people the college money. I'll forgive them for the Barbie movie, the whole deal. And then we get some votes, right? But I call it forgiveness. That's my new motto. Forgiveness, forgiveness, even if I can't feel anything in my right leg. Come on, man. Come on.
This is why Imam Khomeini, who declared the International Day of Quds, this is why he would say to pour all of your chants and all of your shouts upon the head of America.
Death to America. Okay.
Chanting death to America.
First time in our nation's history, a 30-year-old man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. That is the social compact breaking down. People aged 30 to 34, 60% of them in 1990 had one child. Now it's 27%. People are opting out of America. They're not optimistic about it. They're not having kids. Young people aren't having sex. They're not meeting. They're not mating. The pool of emotionally and economically viable men shrinks every day, which lessens household formation. So we have a real issue. Young people are enraged. So it turns every cut, every movement into an opportunistic infection because, quite frankly, they are just pissed off. They look up, they see wealth, exceptional wealth across my generation and people in certain industries, and they are really struggling. Their purchasing power is going down, and the incumbents create artificial scarcity on campus. We take pride in rejecting 90% of our applicants, so the incumbents who already have a degree, so the degree go up in value. We get very concerned with housing and traffic once we own the housing. Housing permits are sequestered from young people. Housing prices have gone from $290 to $420 in the last 4 years. So a young person, a house, stocks that I don't own, skyrocket in value. Let's have COVID relief and flush the markets and take assets way up, because if 1 million people dying would be bad, would be tragic if I got less wealthy. And we're doing it on their credit card. Young people have every reason to be enraged, and every issue they see, they look up, they get angry, and they see someone doing better than them, and then every day it is speedballed in their face that they are failing, that they are not doing as well as everyone around them. We have lost the script. Our kids are more anxious, they're more depressed, they're more obese, they're more addicted, and we have made a purposeful decision to let this happen by ensuring that people around this table stay wealthy at the cost of young people.